Welcome back, DoomTubers. Time for another id update video. Been a while since I've done one of these. Officially, I think I've talked about some id games here and there. Ones that I played, ones that I've beaten. Yeah, but it's been a while since I actually had like a honest to goodness id update video. Yeah, I'm still chugging along with my id collection. I haven't got anything recently. Physically recently added to the collection. Just some other things, playing some of them, you know, that's nice. This summer, I don't even know if I've talked about it at great length. I know I've talked about it here and there, but I did finish up Heretic and Hexen both this summer at some point. And I beat Quake 3 Arena this summer. I think that's it until this one that I actually just beat about a half hour ago. It is Doom 64. Now, one little caveat though, I will say, I didn't actually beat this one. This, of course, is the N64 cartridge, which I love having, but unfortunately, I just can't play it. I don't know. I just really hate the N64 controller, and that's just a personal preference. I mean, that's just, you know, I just can't get used to the controls. And luckily, at least with Doom 64, I think you are given a lot of freedom with the ability to program the controls yourself, so you can like map the controller to whatever you want, which is nice. So I mean, it is possible, you know, for me to play, you know, a little while, just not at great length. And now that I've finished the game, actually, in some of the later levels, there's no way that I would have ever had the patience to play and beat this game on console, just with that controller, just because it's just, ugh, just, ugh. It's pretty brutal. There's some pretty tough levels, lots and lots of enemies, lots of strong enemies, and you know, there were some occasions where you kind of run low on ammo, you know, and you're wondering where to go. But if you're not familiar with Doom 64, I'll talk about it just briefly. It is, of course, Nintendo's, you know, it wasn't developed by Nintendo, developed by Midway, or whatever, id and Midway, specifically for the N64. This version of this game doesn't exist on any other console. It is its own game. It is a common misconception that this is just a port of Doom 3D, which is in fact false. This is its own game. It's got its own story, its own campaign. I don't know if there's any multiplayer or not. I don't know if there's like a multiplayer deathmatch mode or not. I don't know. Something to look into. But it is basically a completely revamped version of the original game. It's not the same maps, and it's not the same music, and it's completely redone, character sprites, and I'll tell you what, they look fantastic. I really like that they decided to keep it with the 2D sprites and not try to do like the 3D models. Not that they would have looked bad, but it would have been, I think it would have been too much like Quake, and it would have taken too much juice to make it do that, and it would have taken away from the gameplay a little bit. Would have slowed the game down a little bit, because you know, this is, you know, just as fast paced as the original game. What I will say though, and I think this is an absolute positive, I absolutely loved it about this game, is that it's actually, while it stays true to the classic Doom and Doom 2, it also borrows quite a bit from the Heretic and Hexen games. Now, I'm not positive of when Hexen was actually released, but reasonably positive that Heretic came out, was developed and released before this. Reasonably positive, but that's a PC-only game, which is a damn shame, because that game would have been awesome on console. But yeah, it borrows a lot from that, as in excuse me, in the way of just kind of the way things look. A lot of the levels had more of a almost more of a like a medieval type feel to them, as opposed to the sci-fi space levels and or the hellish type levels that are in the two original games. And granted, there are some of those type of more medieval type levels in those games too, but this really did quite a bit of that, actually. And I don't know, I really, really enjoyed it. And it also took a lot from the Heretic and Hexen games, in that they were a lot more puzzly, and a lot of switch flipping, and you're not sure what you actually did. In fact, in Hexen, not in this one, but in Hexen, sometimes when you would flip a switch, it would say something happened somewhere. 1/7 of the piece, or 1/7 of the puzzle is solved, and you just kind of keep track in your mind of how many sevenths you've activated, because it'll just say each time it'll just say 1/7, or 1/4 or 1/5, however large the puzzle is. But it kind of took some of that a lot smaller scale from that also. In that you'll flip a switch and you weren't really sure what the switch did because you couldn't see it, but it also took you listening too, to see if it was a door that opened or a platform that lowered, because you wouldn't always see it, but sometimes you had to hurry. You had to flip the switch and then turn around the first time and just look to see what happened. See if you can see it in line of sight, in any given direction, and then turn around and flip it again to see, once you finally did, you figure out what it did, then you could flip the switch and then run to whatever happened, whether it was a door that opened, a platform that lowered, or just, it just unlocked a part, the way to go, unlocked, the path, and sometimes it would actually it would alter the terrain, which was kind of cool, because you'd flip the switch and then you'd see like a mini earthquake, and then clearly the terrain somewhere has been altered, a big portion came up or went down, something. I played it on the lowest difficulty, just because that's what I wanted to do, to get a good feel for the weapons and the gameplay. And what was cool about this too is the first time I've ever played through an entire game, the entire first-person shooter, with mouse and keyboard. So that was pretty exciting too. I think by the end of it, all told, I got pretty good at it. So yeah, I was pretty proud of myself for that. So maybe I'll delve into some more mouse and keyboard stuff. Yeah, I don't have a very good PC, so it's not like I can do a whole lot. But I was happy to actually play and finish a game that I wasn't familiar with, because I wasn't familiar with this at all going into it. I've played maybe the first 2 or 3 levels of this, maybe just the first 2 on the actual cartridge, and then, for the rest of the time, the rest of the playthrough, I was going in blindly, which was good. I enjoyed it. I will say though, if you're unfamiliar with this game and it sounds like something you want to play, and if you're a fan of the older series, I would really suggest you play this. And if you're like me and you don't like the N64, download this, emulate it, and play this game, because it is phenomenal on the PC. The version that's actually out there, it takes a couple of different steps, because you actually have to download this program, and then you still have to download the ROM of the game, and turn it into a WAD file to use with this program that is what's running this. But it's really, really easy to do. and it's totally worth it if you haven't played this game, because it is a lot of fun. And I will say too that the music in this, you know, I'm not real big on music, but this takes the rockin' soundtrack of Doom out of the equation completely and adds the more eerie horror type ambience, and adds it to the game instead of an actual like song soundtrack, which was really great too. So this kind of falls in line with the October horror games too. So there you go. That's Doom 64. I played and finished it. Also, I think if you enjoy the original Dooms, you know, classic Doom, and then you also enjoy Doom 3, perhaps, I think you would like this too, because it almost you know is more similar to Doom 3 than it is to the original Dooms. Obviously not graphically, but just in the style of the game. I don't know. It just felt good. It felt good to play it on PC finally, and I will say that this really ranks high, you know, in the Doom hierarchy. I would say now that it's done, and maybe this is just because I just beat it, but I would say it's top 3. I know there's not a whole lot, but I would say the only ones that are ahead of it would be, of course, the original. And then I would say it's probably tied with Doom 3, really, because I really enjoyed it, and it's quick, too. I mean, I played it today, you know. I played it a little bit yesterday, and, you know, that was 4 or 5 maps, and I played the rest of it today, and I think there's like 30 maps. So, really, you know, it goes pretty quick, because once you get the handle of it, you know, you get the handle of the controls and stuff, it just goes, you know, really easily. And if you're familiar with classic Doom, you're going to know how to play it, because it plays, especially on PC, once you get this PC version, it plays exactly like classic Doom. So, you know, it's up to par. It's a very good game. Okay, moving on. Also, I guess I should add, if you're a fan of classic Doom, and even if you're a fan of Doom 64 too, and you haven't played Heretic and Hexen, seriously get on that, because they're fantastic as well. I did play both of them this summer. I think I enjoyed Heretic a little bit more. It was a little bit easier, just because it was more action-oriented, kind of like Doom. Still a lot of puzzles and, you know, a lot of backtracking, and, you know, it's still just, you know, a first-person shooter. But Hexen was a beast. I loved it. I played the PC version, had a ton of fun with it, but I was ready to be done with it when the end finally came. It was just like, okay, thank God that this is over, because it was brutal, especially the last hub, the last 2 hubs really, 4 and 5. You know, I spent, you know, 4+ hours on both of them individually. Just a lot of just searching around for these switches that you can't find on the walls, and, you know, they're just hidden so well. Yeah, it's a very hard game to describe. It is still a first-person shooter for the most part. You know, I think one of the classes, character classes, only has one weapon that actually is a projectile, and then the other 2 are melee attacks. So it's more close combat than a first-person shooter really normally is. But the one of the character classes, it's physically the weakest one, but it actually, I think it's the mage, I think is what it's called. Starts out with his primary weapon, the one that you have infinite ammo for, is a projectile weapon. That's the one that I used to play as, just so you could get. It was a little bit weaker of attack, but you could stay further away, and so that was nice to do. but you get like a total of like 3 or 4 weapons, all told. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4. I don't know, one of them. And you collect mana, different colored mana. I think there's 4, because you start out with your primary, and then you get a weapon that uses the blue mana, and then you get a weapon that uses the the green mana, which is a stronger weapon, and then you get a weapon that uses the combined mana. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's how it works. But each character class gets a different set of weapons, which is nice. Gives it some replayability, because you can play as one class, finish the game, and play as a second class, finish the game. I actually have the N64 version of it too. It's really tough to control. Once again, it's a little bit less critical because, I mean, even on easy mode there is still a lot of enemies, but it works a little bit different than your typical chaotic first-person shooter. The problem is with that I have with the controller on the N64 version is there is a lot of tight areas where it just requires precise movements, very small ledges that you're crawling on and that sort of thing. So that's where the trouble with the controller came in for me on Hexen. But I think that I could still probably make some good progress with it. It's a really awesome game. I sound like I'm dogging on it, but it really is a good game, good quality. I would suggest once again playing the PC version. Excuse me, because it just the mouse and keyboard just lend itself to the precise movements. I primarily use the keyboard for that one, but I occasionally would use the mouse look for something, so I didn't, so if I had to look at something, I didn't have to move. I could just look with the mouse, and that was really nice. Heretic, it plays pretty much like Doom. So if you can play Doom with mouse, keyboard, or just keyboard or controller, you can do that. I actually don't know if you can use controller for the PC. You probably can. I'm sure you could find some program. I played it through DOSBox. So I guess if you can get a controller to work through DOSBox, then that would be the way to go. I've already talked a lot about Quake 3 Arena. That's the other one, and another one that I beat probably since my last id update. I love that game. I played actually Quake 3 Revolution on the PlayStation 2. I really did consider getting some of the PC versions, Quake 3 Arena and Quake Live. I really thought about getting those, but I'm just not sure how much I'm interested in playing competitively online. I mean, I suck at it, so I'm probably not that interested. But I had considered it, trying to get maybe some friends involved with Quake Live or Quake Arena, whatever it's called on Xbox Live Arcade. I thought about trying to do that, but who knows. Other than that, Mr. T.G. Opelaus and I recently had a conversation regarding some Jaguar stuff. I don't even know how we got on the topic, but we started talking about Jaguar games, and he ended up buying a whole bunch of Jaguar games, and he's blaming me, of course, but whatever. Just kidding about that. But yeah, it really got me wanting to play some Jaguar stuff. So last night I decided, okay, I'm going to play some Jaguar, I'm going to play some Doom, and play some Wolfenstein. You're actually hearing Wolfenstein right now because that's what was in there, and I felt like, hey, I'm doing an id update, might as well have some Wolfenstein music on there because I love Wolfenstein music. Yeah, okay, so a lot of times when you talk about the Atari Jaguar, many fans of the system will say that hands down the port of Doom is one of the best. For one, it's one of the best ports of Doom that you can get on the console in that era, of course. But also that it is one of the best, if not the best, Jaguar game that you can get, because there really isn't that many Jaguar games. Okay, let me rephrase that. There's not that many good Jaguar games. And I would agree that this is definitely one of the best games on the Atari Jaguar. I don't have that many. I really only have a few. But this is one that I made sure that I bought. This was actually the first game that I bought for my Jaguar. It came with a few games, none of which I have anymore because they sucked and I just traded them away. But this one I bought. I made sure that I bought. As soon as I got home with my Jaguar, I put my order in on Amazon for this. I paid $25 for this, cart only, which is a really reasonable price for me. I wanted this game, you know, and I wasn't gonna pay like $50 or something like that. So I'm glad that I got it at a really affordable price. But this is one of my very favorite items in my collection. It's not rare, it's not valuable, but it is one of my very favorite things to have in my collection. That said, after contemplation, playing this game last night, following it up with Wolfenstein 3D, I will stand by now that I think Wolfenstein 3D is a far better game on the Atari Jaguar than Doom. Now, Doom is still my favorite game, like, over Wolfenstein in general, but as far as the Atari Jaguar ports, I think, my opinion is that Wolfenstein 3D is a much better port than Doom. The graphics look better, the sound is better, it runs so quick, it is so fast, and the controls are just spot on. There is absolutely zero delay. And the buttons make sense. You know, it's just a solid game. I love Wolfenstein anyway, and if you're unfamiliar with the port of Wolfenstein, I also did a video about that. But it is not a perfect port of the PC game, or even the Super Nintendo game, which is a condensed version. It is it's a graphic overhaul of the original game. There's new enemy sprites, new character sprites. When I say that, you know, your hand, the part that you see, the back of your hand, that's new. And the weapons, they're new. The music is new. Now, obviously, the character voices, the voice acting, it's back to German again, because they changed it to English for the Super Nintendo version, and they changed it back to German. But the characters say different things than they did in the PC version, which is it's strange to me because I'm so used to those PC voices. So when I hear these other enemies saying the things that these other ones used to say, it freaks me out. But you know, that's just a preference thing, because I'm so used to the original voice acting. But of course, there wasn't real voices. I don't think. I don't care about the technical crap. I'm just saying the voices, whether they were electronic or real voices, I don't know. But so yeah, so right away, graphically, musically, it is superior to even its original game. I will say that this is my preferred version. I shouldn't say that, because it's not the complete game. It's not. It's a very condensed version of actually two games. It is a mishmash of sorts of the original game and Spear of Destiny kind of mashed together, and you know they left out a lot of levels from both games. You know, just a small assortment of levels. I guess they pretty much just wanted to pick the coolest bosses, you know, and just throw some levels together, which was fine. I'm alright with that, because that's what they did on the Super Nintendo version too, which I also have, and I do like. But they, where was I going with that? I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know why I think they condensed even the Super Nintendo version one so they could fit, you know, so much onto the cart. They couldn't fit the whole thing. But otherwise, I'd say though that this is a really great version. I do really enjoy playing this, and I like the music and the graphics better than the original. But I would still say though, I guess the original is better just because it's more complete. It's, you know, it's a full game. You know, there's a lot more levels. There's 6 episodes, and each episode has like 8 or 9 levels. So however many that is, plus Spear of Destiny is like, you know, another, I think like something like 15 levels, something like that, maybe more. I'm not really sure. I've only played through the Spear of Destiny one time, and that was on my cell phone on iOS. So I wasn't really counting levels, but I did play through it and beat it, and that was fun too. So, yeah, I mean, not that anybody really cares about the Atari Jaguar anyway. I mean, I only talked to a few people that even have ever even seen one. So, yeah, I like playing the first-person shooters on the Jaguar, actually, because I think that the controller really lends itself to it. Not many people agree with me on this, but I think it does. Simply because of the number pad. You're able to, just like on the PC, you know, when you click a number, it corresponds to a weapon. Now, Wolfenstein, there's only your standard, your knife, your pistol, your machine gun, and then there's the chain gun. And then on this version, along with the Super Nintendo version, they did add the rocket launcher and the flamethrowers for 5 and 6. So you've got 6 of the number buttons. Wait, no, I lied to you. I lied a lot just now. On Doom, it does do that. 1 through 7, of course, is your standard, you know, fist through BFG weapons. But on Wolfenstein, it's not like that, actually. You have to hit the option button to change weapons. But there is still 6 weapons. And I remembered that because that's actually, I actually kept trying to hit 1, 2, and 3 to change weapons. But that's not how you do it. That's actually how you save the game. You save, it has 3 save slots, 1, 2, 3, and that's how you save. So I would be hitting 1, it would say save game 1, and I hit 2 and save game 2, and so, okay, crap. And then the 5 button is actually the auto map, which is really, 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 really useful in Wolfenstein, especially in this version, because it just pulls up on the screen, and it also pauses the game when you do that, which is good. Because in Doom, when you pull up the map, it doesn't pause. So if there's an enemy right in front of you that you didn't see and you hit the map, no. But it does pause on the on Wolfenstein, which is nice. And then it also is nice because the map itself is really, really useful. Just because you can, there's so many doors and corridors in Wolfenstein. If you're unfamiliar with the game, it's very easy to get lost. So using the map, you can actually see like which doors you've seen the door itself, but you don't know what's on the other side. It'll just just have a door on a wall and nothing filled in on the other side. So and then it'll show you where you are and how you need to get there. So it's just a really, really useful map and a really great system. So if you are an Atari Jaguar owner and you're also an id fan, and you don't have these two games, I seriously urge you to buy these games, because neither one of them are very expensive cart only. I want to say, don't quote me on this, but I want to say that they're each $30 or less cart only, which is pretty reasonable for an Atari Jaguar game, a good Atari Jaguar game, because quite frankly the good games for the Jaguar are few and far between, and the really good ones like Rayman are like $100 cart only. So take what you can get and get Doom and Wolfenstein. I'd show you the Wolfenstein cart, but it's in the Jaguar right now, and the label on it sucks anyway. It's got a big rip on it. I'm hoping to get a cartridge upgrade someday. It's not something I'm too worried about as of right now. Also would like to get boxes for both Doom and Wolfenstein, and a couple of my Jaguar games. Just because I love the system, and I don't show it enough love. I don't talk about it enough, and I certainly don't buy games for it very often because of, one, because of the price, and two, they're just kind of hard to find. I mean, there are a good handful of games that I still would like to get for the system that aren't too expensive, but you have to buy them online. That's the only way to get them. So, I think that's it. This has now been a 31-minute id update, so if you're still watching, I'm very happy. I'm very glad for you, because you just got to hear me talk for 31 minutes about id games. So, there you go. Thanks for watching. Doomwaves out.